Hello everyone, I am Dr. N. Chitra, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, Srimad Andavan Arts and Science College. In today's video lecture, we are going to discuss about performance appraisal, where you will learn about what is performance, the challenges, the process involved in performance appraisal, the purpose of performance appraisal, then the various types of performance appraisal. This will be covered in today's video lecture. Performance appraisal refers to all those procedures that are used to evaluate the personality, performance, potential of its group members. Commonly, it is done once in 6 months or once in a year to know or to evaluate the actual performance of the employees with the standard being maintained in an institution. Importance of performance appraisal includes the setting of goals, like achieving an organizational goals. The organizational goal can be achieved only when the performance of its employees are evaluated in a given time period, so that whether the person has to be trained in certain aspects so that the organizational goal can be achieved. So to set goals and to recognize the performance so that it will act as a factor of motivation for the employees, those who are working very good, and it also act as a motivating factor for those who wish to be recognized. Then it's a guiding process. It identify the problems where the workers are lacking and what has to be done to improve their performance. So it helps to the performance appraisal helps to identify the problems, and also it improve the performance. When we come to know that where the lacuna is, then it is possible for the organization to improve the performance of the employees. It also discuss about career advancement. Let's see the characteristics of performance appraisal. Excuse me. The characteristics of effective performance appraisal are like the philosophy of an organization, the purpose and objective of the organizations should be clearly stated so that the performance appraisal can be planned or designed as per the organization's philosophy. The purpose of performance appraisal are identified, communicated, and it should be understood. So those who are going to do the performance appraisal should be communicated about what should be actually done with regard to the performance of the workers, and it should also be communicated to the workers then what will be evaluated from their part. So performance appraisal are identified, communicated, and it should be understood. Job description is very essential to conduct a performance appraisal. So job descriptions are written in such a manner that standards of performance can be identified for each job. So care should be taken to have a very clear picture about the job descriptions. The resistance on the part of evaluator will come because of performance appraisal demands too much of supervisor's effort in terms of time, paperwork, and periodic observations of subordinates' performance. Supervisors do not fully understand the purpose and procedures of performance appraisal. Supervisors sometimes lack skills in the performance appraisal techniques that is being followed by the company or the organization. Performance appraisal is not pursued as being productive. So that's what we have said. In characteristic of performance appraisal, we have discussed that it should be identified, communicated, and has to be understood. So those who are going to do the performance appraisal and those who are going to undergo the performance appraisal has to be communicated about the parameters that are going to be evaluated. So the performance those who are going to do the performance appraisal should be explained, should be very briefed about the process. So performance appraisal will demand too much of supervisor's effort in terms of time, then paperwork, periodic observation of subordinates' performance. And next is supervisors. If the supervisors lacks skills in performance appraisal techniques, then the purpose of carrying out the performance evaluation will be of total waste. So performance appraisal should lead to some productive aspects. So evaluators' biases and rating will also be there. As I said, then lack of clear objective standards of the performance, then failure to communicate the purposes, lack of suitable appraisal tool, or all the drawbacks if the organization is not very much particular about its performance appraisal design. So the process of performance appraisal will has the following steps, like developing a performance appraisal standards, then setting goals and objectives, data collection, performance appraisal interview, future goals and objectives, and follow-up. So these are the process that will be carried out while doing the performance appraisal. So first step in performance appraisal is to develop performance standards. So developing the performance standards, like so the first step is performance standard, developing a performance standards, like based on the position. It should not be based on the individual, it should be based on the position. Then it should be the performance standards should be observable. Then it should be specific. Indicators of success, those observable factors should be the indicators of success. Then it should be meaningful, reasonable, and it should also be attainable. The standards we are going to keep should be meaningful, reasonable, and it should be attainable. And fully satisfactory performance should be there once we train everyone related to the performance appraisal evaluation process. Then expressed in terms of quantity, quality, timeliness, cost, safety, or outcomes. So performance appraisal, the standards should be in terms of quality or in terms of quantity. So develop the standards for evaluation. Performance standards are based on the position and not on the individual. Those standards should be observable, specific, indicators of success. It should be meaningful, reasonable, and attainable. Describing fully satisfactory performance once trained. So it is expressed in terms of quality, quantity, timeliness, cost, safety, or outcomes. Next step in performance, the process of performance appraisal is setting objectives. The objectives should be specific, performance oriented, it should be realistic, and it should be observable. And the third step in performance appraisal is data collection, where the sources of performance information will be gathered through personal observations, or through the reports or documentations, or through the correspondence received regarding the person to be evaluated. Then feedback, it can be both internal and external feedback. In case of a marketing executive, the feedback from the clients can be taken into consideration. So feedback from both the sources, external and internal sources, can be considered for the data collection of the particular employee. Then periodic discussions with the employee. So if there is a system of having a conversation with the employees of the organization, then those discussions can also be taken into consideration, like in what way they are open to the changes that is being made in the organization, or how far they are welcoming any changes in the organization. So what are the views? Those would be discussed in an informal way. So those can be taken into consideration as a part of data collection. The fourth one is performance appraisal interview. Review standards, documentation, job description, as well as the appraisal form and various ratings will be used in this stage. Then we need to the performance appraiser should write the appraisal, complete the performance appraisal form, then know the person's record thoroughly. They should have gone through all the records related to the worker. Then prepare the employee in advance for the performance appraisal interview. So prior information has to be passed to the workers so that they will be ready with their the so-called performance appraisal review. So performance appraisal, there are so many methods that is being followed worldwide. So the past oriented methods include a rating scale, confidential report, essay evaluation, critical incident method, checklist, forced choice method, behaviorally anchored rating scale, ranking, paired comparison method, forced distribution method, field review technique, or the various methods that's being followed previously. So future oriented methods include management by objectives, 360-degree feedback method, then psychological appraisals, assessment centers, or the future oriented methods of performance appraisal. So regarding the past oriented methods, a rating scale. So the rating scale consists of several numerical scales, each representing a job related performance. Criterion such as dependability, then initiative, output, attendance, attitude, cooperation, and so on. So it depends upon the job description of the job. So based on the job, as we have said, it should be the performance appraisal is not for an individual, it is for the job that is to be carried out. So the rating scale will completely cover the job description aspects of the confidential report. It is a descriptive report prepared by the employee's immediate supervisor. Then the report highlights the strength and weakness of the employees. It may be a SWOT analysis of the worker, then prepared mostly in government organizations. It does not offer any feedback to the employees. So what is their observation? So their observations will be given as a confidential report to the higher officials by the immediate supervisor of the employee. So this is an example of the rating scale. So employee name will be their rater's name, then to which department they belong to, on which date the performance, the appraisal has been done. Then this is the scale, like good, acceptable, fair, poor, excellent. So those rating will be done for the job, like whether he is able to do the job dependently, then whether he is taking initiative to carry out or complete the job, then overall output given by him along with his team, then the attendance of the employee, then his attitude towards the subordinates as well as to the immediate seniors or the supervisors, then cooperation, the cooperation among the team. So essay evaluation method, the rater is asked to express the strong as well as weak points of employee's behavior. So this is an essay evaluation method where the rater has to completely give an essay like answers. So job knowledge and potential, then understanding of companies progress, policies, objectives, then relation with the co-workers and supervisors, planning, organizing, then controlling ability, attitude and perception. So all these aspects are covered uh, in essay evaluation method of performance appraisal technique. So the method has the following limitations. So essay evaluation has the following limitations or demerits or disadvantages. Like it is slightly subjective. Then supervisor may write biased essay. Then difficult to find effective writers. A busy appraiser may write the essay hurriedly without assessing properly the actual performance of the worker. If the appraiser takes a long time, it becomes uneconomical from the viewpoint of the firm. So the essay evaluation has to be completed on time, and it has to give a very elaborate description about the worker regarding various aspects that is being seen or that has been seen by the firm through the appraiser. So critical incident technique is another past oriented method of performance appraisal technique. In this critical incident technique, the manager prepares a list of statements of very effective and ineffective behavior of an employee. These critical incident represent the outstanding or poor behavior of the employees. The manager periodically records critical incidents of employees' behavior. So this is the critical incident technique, where the appraiser, where the rater will note down. So actually he knows that he has to rate the employees, the subordinates under him. So he will have a keen observation on them, on various situations, on various incidents. Based on that, he will be giving his observations regarding the employee. For example, so June 21st, sales clerk patiently attended to the customer's complaint. He is polite, prompt, then enthusiastic in solving the customer's problem. On June 21st, the sales assistant stayed 45 minutes beyond his break during the busiest part of the day. He failed to answer store manager's call three times. He is lazy, negligent, stubborn and uninterested at work. So that can be two observation on the same day. So it is called critical incident technique. So example, a fire, a sudden outbreak, accident. So workers A, B, C, D, what will be their reaction? So informed the supervisor immediately, inform anxious on loss of output, become anxious of loss of output, then try to repair the machine, then complain for poor maintenance. So this is the incidents. So limitations of this technique, or like a negative incidents, may be more noticeable than positive incidents, as in the previous example. So he have attended the client and attended to the client's queries politely, patiently. At the same time, he missed the storekeeper's call. So both might happen on the same time. So resulting very close supervision, which may not be liked by the employee. So they will be very keen, like always on 24/7 watch. So the employees might feel like they are under the camera. So the recording of incidents is a core for the supervisor concerned, who may be too busy or forget to do it. So the critical incident technique, where the supervisor has to make note of the employee's attitude and performance on a regular basis. So if he is a busy person, he may forget, and there are chances to miss out the important positive incident that has happened with respect to the employee. So checklist. So checklist contains a list of statements on the basis of which the rater describes the on job performance of the employees. So just like for everything there is a checklist, so just like that the employees job descriptions, the rater will describe on the job performance of the employee with a set of checklist. So for example, is the employee regular, is the employee respected by subordinate, is the employee helpful, does he follow instructions, does he keep the equipment in order. So these are the checklist that the basic checklist, or it may be a detailed checklist, that depends upon the performance appraisal design of an organization or of a firm. So this is just for an example. So what the checklist can have. So these are the things that the checklist will comprises. So behaviorally anchored rating scale, where it is this behaviorally anchored rating scale represent a range of descriptive statements of behavior varying from the least to the most effective rating. So in this a rater is expected to indicate which behavior on each scale best describes an employee performance. So behaviorally anchored rating scale, there will be a set of questions, and the rater has to fix the employee on that particular scale. So whether he matches with the 7 point, whether he is matching with the 8 point, whether he is able to score 9 points for that particular question. So it is behaviorally anchored rating scale. So forced choice method is the another technique of past oriented performance appraisal techniques. So forced choice method, in the forced choice method the rater is forced to select statements which are ready-made. The rater is asked to indicate which of the phrases is the most and least descriptive of a particular worker. So favorable qualities earn plus credit, and unfavorable ones earn the reverse. So this is forced choice method. So there will be only a limited number of statements where the rater has to fix the employee within those statements. So ranking method, so this is just like depending upon the observations or the knowledge the rater has towards the employee, he will place the employees according to the rank. So whether the employee which employee holds the first position, which employee holds the least position. So that is the ranking method. So in this, how and why are not questioned, and it was also not answered. Why this person has been placed top, why this person has been placed down. So there is no why and how with regard to ranking method. So field review method is another performance appraisal technique. The appraiser goes to the field and obtains the information about work performance of the employee by way of questioning the said individual, his peer group and his supervisors. So the appraiser, so field review, where the reviewer will visit the place of work or the workplace of an employee to know or to gather better details about the worker. So he will be collecting information regarding the worker's attitude, worker's cooperation, how far he is helping people when they are in need of help. So and the other aspects related to the job descriptions, and to assess the personality, so that whether that person who is going to be appraised is eligible to be promoted. So maybe for that also performance appraisal can be may be done. So the appraiser goes to the field and obtain the information about work performance of the employee by way of questioning the said individual from the peer group, then his supervisor or superiors. So future oriented appraisals, management by objectives. So management by objective, the first step of management by objective is collectively set goals that are tangible, verifiable and measurable. So this is management by objectives. So the objectives that are being framed should be tangible, it should be verifiable and it should be measurable. And the second step is setting the performance standards for the subordinates. Then the actual level of goal oriented is compared with the goal agreed upon. So there will be there is a standard. So the actual performance of the workers will be matched or will be compared with the standard performance that is already being designed. So that is the third step. And the final step is involving establishing new goals and possibly new strategies for goals not previously achieved. So what can be done? What is lacking in the part of employee as well as in the part of the firm in achieving the set goals of that particular job. So this management by objective will help in analyzing and also in establishing new goals so that the worker is able to match up with that and achieve the organizational goal or the work goal of the employee. So 360-degree feedback method, it is a systematic collection and feedback. So 360-degree feedback method, it is a systematic collection and feedback of performance data on an individual, group, derived from a number of stakeholders. Then data is gathered and feedback to the individual participant in a clear way designed to promote understanding, acceptance and ultimately behavior. It makes the employee feel much more accountable. So this is 360-degree feedback method. So in 360-degree, the employee has to give his own feedback about his performance. Feedback will be collected from his peers. Feedback will be collected from his supervisors, superiors. Then feedback will be collected from the external sources that he is dealing with. As I said in previously, if he is a marketing executive, the clients will give feedback about his approach. So that's a 360-degree feedback method where feedback will be collected around the employee. So that is 360-degree feedback. So example is you can see from this slide, like employee. So superiors will be giving, then team members, then subordinates, peers, customers and suppliers. So from all around the employee, all informations will be collected from him, collected about him. So psychological appraisal and assessment center is the future oriented performance appraisal technique. So it focuses on the future potential of an employee. Past performance or the actual performance is not taken into considerations. Evaluation is based on employees' intellectual, emotional, motivational and other related characteristics. So it is really future oriented technique. So it focuses on the future potential of an employee. Past performance or the actual performance is not taken into consideration. So what he is capable of, so that is taken into consideration. So evaluation is based on his intellectual, emotional, motivational and other related characteristics. So intelligent quotient, emotional quotient will be taken into considerations. So an assessment center is a center located where managers may come together to have their participation in job related exercises evaluated by trained observers. So assessment center is completely outside the firm or completely outside the organization, where the persons whose performance has to be evaluated will be sent to an assessment center, and in that assessment center trained individuals, trained persons or observers will carry out a certain task with the persons from the firm, and they will give their observations so regarding their performance, their personality. So future goals and objectives is the last process of performance appraisal. So at the end of the interview, the employer should allow some time to create a development plan. So the employer should record specific goals, targets or benchmarks that the employee will attempt to achieve. Both employer and employee should agree on the steps to be taken to achieve their targets. Then both should agree on how the employee's progress towards these objectives will be measured and set a defined time frame, even if this is simply the next performance appraisal. So future goals and objectives will be taken into the consideration. So in the process of performance appraisal, we have said that first we need to develop a performance standards, then we need to go for goals and objectives, then data collection. So for the data collection, for doing the data collection, we have so many, we have to take up any of the performance appraisal techniques that we have discussed previously. So past oriented method or the future oriented method. So depending upon the need of the organization or of the performance design, appraisal design being framed by the organization, it can be a mixture of future oriented as well as past oriented. So depending upon the method they are going to take in, after the data collection, then after the interview is over, both the employer and employer has to sit together to create the development plan. So the employer should be give a specific goal. So the employer and employee has to sit together and finalize what is possible. So what goals, the long-term goals can be break down into short-term goals to achieve in a short duration, so that it is easy to move on to achieve the long-term goals. So that can be done after this performance appraisal interview. So both the employer and employee should agree to take steps, whether the steps has to be taken in rectifying certain drawbacks or setbacks in terms of employee or from the employer side. The final step in the performance appraisal process is follow-up. So follow-up means than simply conducting regular formal performance review once a year. So if employers review employees and provide feedback as part of everyday management, both the employers and the employee will learn much more about their strength, weakness, and how employers would prefer the job to be done. So the main aim of performance appraisal could be achieved by doing this follow-up. So follow-up is done depending upon the policy of the organization, whether the performance appraisal will be done for a year, once in a year, or twice in a year. So that depends upon the policy of an organization. Based on the policy, if the management gives feedback about the performance appraisal to its employees, then the employees will definitely have a changeover. Since only when the feedback is given, they will know that the performance appraisal are done very seriously, and their performance will lead to the achievement of the organization goals. So definitely, if the employer review employees performance and give feedback, it will change the change the table. So we need to give the strength and weakness about the employee, so that he was that way we can understand whether the employee is willing to change or he is not willing to change. If he is not willing to change, then the management can take its decision of how to deal with that employee. So the performance evaluation report will consist of a class specification or informal job descriptions, then job standards, procedures and regulations, established goals, objectives and expectations, knowledge and abilities to perform the job relationships required for successful performance, quality of work, including the nature and the consequences of errors made during the evaluation period, then commendations awarded related to employee performance, use of job skills and efforts to enhance skills, ability to work with others, attendance, use of sick leave, punctuality, everything will be included in the evaluation report. So questions to consider when preparing to write the performance report. Did the employee meet or exceed quality and quantity standards? Questions to consider when preparing to write the performance report. Did the employee meet or exceed quality or quantity standard? Does the employee have the skill to perform the job? Has the employee increased skill level and established value to the organization? If corrective action was initiated due to errors and or complaints that damaged the efficiency of organizational operation, was it effective? Has the employee demonstrated job-related efficiency through special efforts and capabilities? Does the employee follow organizational roles and standards of the department? Does the employee utilize supervisory guidance? So these questions has to be considered when preparing the performance report. So whether the employee utilize supervisory guidance, does the employee follow organizational rules and standards of the department? Has the employee demonstrated job-related efficiency through special efforts and capabilities? Has the employee increased the skill level and established value to the organization? Does the employee have the skill to perform the job? Does the employee meet or exceed quality and quantity standards? So these to be considered. So guidelines for writing of the employee performance report. So establishing neutrality in written performance evaluation by avoiding vague personal terminology. Use specific job-oriented terms and clearly define purpose of comments. Avoid the use of personal traits such as integrity, loyalty, honesty, initiative, and so on. So measure employee performance against the job specification and not as an individual. So these are the references done to prepare this video presentation. So I hope I have given some enlight on the topic performance appraisal. What is performance appraisal? The process of performance appraisal, the various techniques of performance appraisal to properly do the appraisal of the individual, and what are the characteristic features of performance appraisal, and what should be considered in evaluating the report of a performance appraisal. Thank you for staying with me.